This is Kadence Amplify. If you are just joining us, you are in for a real treat. You are in for a treat with Zach Stepek, one of my favorite people in WordPress. Zach, I'm going to give you a quick introduction and then bring you right on. Zach has helped countless store owners make decisions that have enabled them to grow, scale, and thrive in our digital first economy, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue along the way. He is currently working as a client enablement manager at Convasio, and he's here to show us some of the amazing performance optimizations that he has created for his clients using Kadence. Zach, you're here.
Yes, I am. How are you?
I am doing very, very well, and I am happy to see your smiling face. I was talking you up just a little bit ago, talking about all of the, I basically said that you have created some sites that have really scaled, and that if anybody's listening, they are pretty much sure to have seen a site or two that you have created along the way.
I
You've
believe
been there.
that's probably true, yes.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate to be at the forefront of WooCommerce performance for, well, since 2015, really.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been a heck of a ride, and one that I don't plan on getting off anytime soon.
I hope you don't, because you're doing such amazing work. Now, we were actually at the Smithsonian talking about a site that you have been building with Kadence, and you were showing me the performance optimizations and just some of the cool design decisions that you had made with some of the Kadence tools. And I'm like, dude, you're coming to Amplify. And here you are. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's been a really fun process. It's basically been a journey where I've gone from page builder to page builder over time, and I think I've found home finally.
Yeah.
And you know, in my pursuit of performance, I have always looked for the tools that are going to give me the fastest page speeds. And I have faster page speeds now than I ever have using Kadence with Gutenberg. So but we'll talk a little bit about that, but we're mostly going to talk about building custom landing pages and why I think it's an important thing to do. So
amazing.
well,
I'm
be
going
a lot
to
of fun.
Yeah, this is great. I'm going to show myself out, and I'm going to give you the stage. I'm going to pull your slides in, and I'll be monitoring for, you could probably see on the side some of the questions that might be coming in. If you want to answer them real time, I will be in the back and I can pull them on screen. Otherwise, at the end, I will just come, because I always have questions. You know me, I
Of
always
course.
need to know. So I'm going to let you go and have a great session.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, so Kathy gave me a bit of an intro already, but let's just go through a little more. So she mentioned I'm the client enablement manager at Convasio, but I've been building websites since 1996, and I know that makes me old. You see the gray in my beard, right? I am a mastery level user of single pixel spacer GIFs, unfortunately a skill that has gone out of style. I've spent the last 20 plus years teaching web technologies, everything from Cold Fusion to Flash to Flex, Dreamweaver, Air, Flash Media Server, WordPress, WooCommerce, PHP, CSS, everywhere from MTV to IBM. It's been a lot of fun. And I make WooCommerce scale. And as some of you may have noticed, that's not an easy thing to do. So that's a lot of fun. And I always like to include something that's personal, and I'm a concert photographer. Now, a lot of people say they're a concert photographer, but I'm a concert photographer. I go out and take pictures of musicians probably every weekend. So that's just a little bit of my work, just to show you what I do when I'm not sitting in front of a computer. So in this session, we're going to talk about what's broken in the current e-commerce landscape. We're going to talk about why we use landing pages, which may be a little bit of a review after Kathy's impromptu session. We're going to talk about why I use Kadence, and we're going to talk about how to build landing pages with Kadence. But more importantly, we're not just going to talk, we're going to do. So, what's broken? Well, the more friction you introduce to the purchase process, the less likely your customer is to convert. 55% of shoppers say that friction is frustrating enough to quit a purchase mid-process. Now, this is a big deal, right? If 55% of shoppers say that friction will make them stop buying, and you have a sales process or a sales funnel that's full of friction, you're going to lose 55% of your potential sales. So we want to avoid that. Now, there are multiple types of friction. One of them, Kathy mentioned, slow site speed. That is an absolute cause of friction during a buying process. The other, though, is this weird separation between marketing and e-commerce. And I don't know why, but we have this almost desire in the web community to completely separate complex interactions from marketing pages. Now, why? Well, e-commerce platforms generally don't allow for deep customization of your product page, right? So, and what do I mean by deep customization? Well, we're talking breaking out of the box and not quite looking like every other e-commerce experience on the planet. So, what brand do many people consider to be the pinnacle of the e-commerce experience? When we go through and we look at people who have, made great websites, who do many people consider to be the pinnacle? Well, I'd say probably Apple, right? And even at Apple, they have this separation, this experience that adds friction just simply because the marketing site and the e-commerce site are two completely different things. They're even on different URLs, right? It's apple.com/shop for everything that has e-commerce functionality. So the marketing pages have great marketing content, great marketing content, right? They do a really good job of creating very nice interactive marketing pages. And then from there, you have to click a call to action to go to another page that's going to ask you a whole bunch more questions about what it is you want. So what if we could just take this and move it all into one experience? One other reason why I want to talk about this, the average e-commerce conversion rate is about 2.5% to 3%, right? And that's really not that high. If only 2.5% to 3% of the visitors to your site are converting, you are potentially losing out on 97% of your potential sales there, right? The average landing page conversion rate is 9.7%. So considerably higher. So we're going to talk about how we can close that gap. Now, it's interesting because most tools don't allow for this. If you try to use one of those black box e-commerce platforms that really don't let you do much apart from, customize within their box, well, you're going to have some trouble with closing this gap. So first, let's define what a landing page is. Now, Kathy did a great job of this, but let's go through my definition here. A landing page is designed to persuade a user to take an action, right? That could be any of a number of things. It could be purchasing a product. It could be signing up for an event. It could be signing up for an email marketing list. Landing pages are often used as the destination page for an advertising campaign. So if you are spending money on advertising and you want to push people to a page that is higher converting, you're going to use a landing page that is designed specifically to target the campaign that you're running, right? A landing page includes a single or limited number of calls to action. So the single or limited number is important, right? You don't want to create a landing page that's selling 20 products. You want to create targeted landing pages that are selling a single product or a related group of products. And of course, a landing page can be a consumer's initial impression of your business. So if you are sending people directly to a landing page from your marketing campaigns, it's the first thing they're going to see of your brand. So it's really important that we get this right. Now, landing pages have a number of components, right? We want to make sure we're using a compelling hero image. That's the big image at the top of the page that makes people think, oh, this looks really cool and I want to stay. And then we want to immediately engage our users with a catchy headline, something that grabs them in and drags them into our purchase experience, right? And then we want concise supporting copy to go along with that immediately engaging headline. If you want even higher dwell time and higher conversions, add a video. Video on a landing page more than doubles both the dwell time and the conversion rate. And that's because people are willing to sit and watch a video. Why do you think YouTube's been so successful? Because people are willing to sit and watch a video because it keeps them engaged. We also want to include social proofs. And social proofs are things like reviews or comments from customers, or if you're an e-commerce site, the number of things you're doing to secure people's data. Those are all social proofs. Then we want a strong call to action. We don't just want add to cart as our button. We want to say something like, if we're selling, let's say, a modern pair of headphones with some really cool noise canceling technology that nobody else has yet, we want to say something like join the revolution, right? Something that is a call to action that feeds into like this need and desire to be part of something. And we want to repeat our call to action multiple times, maybe with different copy throughout the page. So that's the structure that we're going to talk through. A little bit of the background on that. So what do we need to be able to do this? Well, we need a tool set for building landing pages with WooCommerce. But I have good news. Like, we don't have to go out and develop this thing ourselves, right? Wouldn't that really kind of suck to have to go out and build all these tools ourselves? But Kadence already fits this role perfectly. So Kadence adds superpowers to Gutenberg, right? Page speed's great. It's reliable. It gives us power. It has a number of integrations with other tools and with WooCommerce itself. It's easy to use, and there's great support. These are all things that make Kadence the right choice for building landing pages for your WooCommerce site, or for just building your site in general. But I've talked for 14 minutes now. I think it's time for me to stop talking and start doing. So let's go ahead and jump into the browser here. And I have a simple site that I set up called Woolander, because why not? And let's see, I believe I've got the Kadence theme installed. That's ready to go. We've got WooCommerce installed with the demo data that comes packaged with WooCommerce. And so let's just go in and let's look at what this site looks like by default. Oh, that's not much. Let's go into the shop. Okay, well, we've got a shop. We've got, standard product pages. We've got, some stuff in here, but that's okay. It's not bad. It's not perfect. It's not where I would want to be, but let's see what we can do to kind of spruce this up a bit. So let's pick a product together. So let's say we are going to be running a special on the logo collection. So let's work with the logo collection. And I see that my post ID for the logo collection is 40. I can get that right out of my URL. So at its simplest, if we were to go in and build a page, we could add a new page. And we've got Kadence installed. So we have Kadence Blocks available. We have also a whole bunch of WooCommerce blocks that are installed by default with WooCommerce. We can add additional blocks, but this is just going to be our logo collection landing page. Now, I want to disable the page title because I don't want people to see logo collection landing page, right? That's not something I want them to see when they get to the page. So we're just going to go in here and I am going to grab a nice stock image, one that we used already, but I'm going to insert. And let's just insert a nice image overlay. And let's select an image. Now I'm going to upload this nice image I used earlier. We'll give it just a minute to stop processing. Maybe. It's all local, so it should be working, but let's see if we can get it to insert now. There we go. Just got stuck for some reason. And we can go in and add a little text to our image overlay, right? And then I can go in here and we can look at this block. Do I want to hover zoom in? No, I just want it to stay static. There we go. And then I can add some more stuff here. Let's go ahead and add a row. And I'm going to go ahead and just do all of this myself. Just add an image. I'm going to choose from the media library, add the logo collection. I'm going to add a let's add a text advanced block here. Let's add an H1. Yeah, let's make it an H2. Call it the logo collection. Okay, so I could go through and continue building out this entire page with all of the content, right? And I could create custom content for everything, but we do have the ability to insert dynamic content as well. So let's say I wanted to use some dynamic content, and we could use any of a number of pieces of dynamic content from the post. So we could use the post excerpt here from the current post. Now, we don't have a current post, but we can also choose a different post as the source of our dynamic product, or our dynamic information, right? Our dynamic data is now coming from that specific product. And I can even go in and We can use the post title from the same product and add dynamic content there. So now these are actually tied to the product itself. I could even go in, and if this was a Kadence image, I can go ahead and make sure that this image is selected dynamically as well as the featured image, and our image source can again be, oh, I typed connection, of course, the featured image from logo collection. So now if the product updates, the page is going to update too, right? And then from there, we probably need a way for them to add this to their cart. Now, there are a couple of ways to add an add to cart button, but probably the easiest one is to use an advanced button. And let's just make it big because I like big buttons. And then what I want to do is I'm going to add an icon to this. I'm going to select maybe. Okay, that was weird. I'm going to select a cart icon. I'm going to use this solid cart with the down arrow. I'm going to put my icon on the left. And we're going to call this add to cart. But we just talked about how that's maybe not the best call to action, right? So let's come up with something better. Right? Maybe that's a little better. And we can have get the entire collection there. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can add an add to cart button, like I said. You know, WooCommerce includes some tools for doing this, but let's just do the simplest one. I believe that should be correct. And let's publish our page. And if I did everything correctly, let's see. Oh, I missed something here. I always miss something when I do live demos, though. So give me just a second. It's the fun of a live demo. There's a very good chance you're going to miss a step. So give me just a moment here. I know it's something silly. They definitely do add character. And considering I am a character, I think I've done a lot of live demos. So, okay. Yep, that's what I'm missing. Let's go ahead and fix that. So, it's really easy to miss simple things. And in this case, it was something quite simple. It always is, isn't it? Oh, it's... So we should have item 40 here. That should work. Huh, but it's not working. It really doesn't like me today. What did I miss? Did I... ID equals 40. This should be working. Okay, well, let's show a working example of this in the wild instead. So this is a page that I built for a company that I've been doing some work with recently. And we have a landing page for one of their products. And this landing page is the one that Kathy was talking about earlier that I was showing her at the Smithsonian. Quite fun. And as we go through, we can see, there's a whole bunch of complexity to this page, right? There are different levels of product you can buy. These are all subscriptions. And each has a different set of tabs. And then we have this Get Started button, which has a link of / add -to -cart equals and the product ID we're trying to add. Right? So that's the simplest way. Now, this is a giant landing page. This is not something that you would, normally be getting from an e-commerce platform, right? And so we have this entire landing page that was built with Kadence, these various tabs, and yes, these buttons here, those are really tabs. Little trick for you. I've styled the tabs to look like buttons, and they're still just tabs. They're switching the content below. And then when you click, I've actually done some work to make sure that we never see a cart. So we actually go straight to checkout, and we never see the cart page. And that's all being done very easily with Kadence and Kadence Blocks and a simple button to add to cart. So that's really cool. We can actually go in and we can tie in a lot of data from our products. And if we look at even just the other blocks that are included alongside WooCommerce, we can see that there are a number of other options. Let's just go to Browse All here and go down to WooCommerce. There are a number of other options that we can look at as, different things that we can add. So if we wanted to, we could use their single product block to actually add the entire product here, right? And they do have a great block that shows the product with the add to cart and all the read more and everything else that you might want. So if you want to simplify a little, you can definitely start just with their block and not have to worry about building any of this yourself. But sometimes I like to have a little more control, right? Now, one of the things that we could do now that we have a landing page like this is we could build out a whole bunch more content related to this product. And so what I can show you here is a while ago, and this site is not using Kadence, but it was built before Kadence existed. So I built this site in 2016. It's still running the same code base from then. This is the storefront theme of all things. Things you well, my internet connections were. We just have the ability to add a little bit more to I apologize for my internet issues if we're having some trouble there. But we can add just a little info than we would normally. A little more info here. That one doesn't have quite as much. Let's go to one of these other ones and see if there's a longer overview. That one has a shorter overview. But basically, the whole point here is that you can take and build really deep custom content into a landing page that is the product page. So this site, if you're not logged in, you can't see pricing and you can't add to your cart. But if you continue scrolling down here, you'll see there's just a ton of content about what this security camera does. And so by building a more complete landing page like this, you can actually create an experience where we no longer have that separation between where the product page and the marketing page start and end. And so even the specifications are built out to look, a certain way, very professional. We actually stole some design inspiration from people like Black Magic Design for this page. But we were able to use tabs, build out all these tabs, create different views of what the product actually represents. And so we could do all of these same things, just like I did here, to create a more complete landing page that doesn't require the user to have that disjointed experience between marketing and commerce, between learning and buying. And that's the key, is to not have a broken experience between learning and buying. So that's how I build landing pages for WooCommerce products with Kadence. Are there any questions at this point? And I'm always happy to push further if there are questions that push the live demo into new territory. So ask anything you'd like.
I have questions.
I know you do.
I always have questions. That was really great. Excuse me. I love that you took my impromptu, but you took it so much further and dove deeper and really talked about, that friction between commerce and sales and marketing and how that often happens sometimes. And yeah, very cool. I'm really interested in the project that you just completed that was it built in WordPress before?
It was, but it wasn't. I know that's a really weird answer, but they had built something that was kind of a weird hybrid between React pages and WordPress, and it was really hard for the marketing team to manage. They couldn't maintain most of the pages without a developer. And now, because it's all in Kadence, and as you saw, I mean, not only is it all in Kadence, but this is the view of the page on the front end. This is the view of the page on the back end. So not only is it all in Kadence, but it looks the same with very few exceptions across both environments. Yeah. So the editing experience is just as solid for the marketers who are going in here to manage this.
Yeah.
As it is for the users who are using the page.
So are you turning this page over to the marketing team at the client?
Yeah. So all of this started as a Figma design that I then figured out how to make work in Kadence with Kadence Blocks. Some of the things on this site were a little harder than others. One was this little check mark, which you can see here on the button, is just added as a standard button. And I've added an icon to the button, right? So if I open up the icon settings, I've added the icon there.
Nice.
And we have our colors set to the same for hover and non-hover states. But they had in the design that icon needed to be over the border. So we weren't able to show that in the editor, but we can show that the correct icon is selected in the editor. And the reason why they wanted that is that these pages are very similar.
Mm.
And they have these two different paths. So both of these are futures related,
Yeah.
but the different path has different content.
Gotcha. Oh, look at that form.
Oh yeah, that is a Kadence form.
Is it?
It is. It's a beautiful Kadence form.
You're using the advanced form block for that?
I am.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got that that nice separation in the name and the email address fields, and yep, and each of the forms is different. So if you are on, I'm gonna have to fix that again. We had a bit of a regression with CSS here, so that's supposed to actually be white with no background. So I'll fix that later. But by the way, this menu is the Kadence menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So these separators, it looks like there's actually functionality in Kadence for this now to create a non-interactive separator as an item in your menu. That wasn't there when I started. So I had written custom CSS to do this and make it non-interactive based on what the link URL was. So if the link was set to a hash mark and 0, which generally is never going to go anywhere, then it defaults in the menu to this styling instead of an actual link.
Nice.
But that's the thing. Like, these pieces all are available, and this is just style. I mean, I can show you, because why not? Because I haven't put this out into the theme yet, because we're using a child theme. So I can show you right here. This is our table customizations, right? Overriding the stripe colors for tables that are striped so that they have a slightly different look, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted those tables to have two background colors. So I overrode the stripe colors. We're hiding the bundled products in checkout. So if we have a bundle, it doesn't list all of its pieces. Removing the gap at the top of pages on mobile so that the header fits right up against the content at all levels. And then we have the menu customizations. So here, right, we have anything with an href of just the hashtag there. Pointer events of none, cursor of default. So that makes it so the browser doesn't do anything with that. It makes it bold. It changes the padding. That's all
nice.
Just happening there. And then these login, log out buttons are actually using targeted menu items, because those menu items were easier for me to use. But those login and log out buttons and the dashboard buttons are still just part of the Kadence menu. They're just styled differently.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's all just done with some simple CSS tweaks, including this check mark, then moving the check mark.
Yeah.
That's just a simple CSS tweak.
Yeah.
So it's all here.
And that's not that complex of a style. I've seen some style sheets in my time, and that's really clean, very neat. I could work with that. So that means it's well structured. Very
140 good. Lines of CSS, right? Yeah,
yes.
That's about where you want to be if you're introducing custom CSS. And eventually I'll get it out in the theme, but right now, as we're still kind of actively making some changes, having it in the customizer is easier. So
yeah. Talk to me a little bit about performance improvements when you moved some of these pages from where they were into Kadence? Did you see a dramatic bump?
So yes, and one of the things that most of the people here should find very interesting is that with React, the site was loading its pages in 3 to 4 seconds, and
With
now
React?
with React.
Hmm.
So for all of those people who say, "Oh, just go headless, it's going to make everything faster," sure, if you have really good React developers, it will. Um, or it just might not, like in this case where 4-second page loads were happening with React. So we optimized images, we optimized the overall site, and we brought it down to a point where it's averaging about 600 to 700 milliseconds for the largest contentful paint.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's really a huge difference for them. And the thing is that it feels near native
Mhm.
when you're browsing through just because it's quick,
Yeah.
right? So getting to that near native speed, I mean,
Yeah.
just to be completely transparent here, my internet connection issues are because Comcast is doing work in my area and my connection went down 22 minutes before my presentation.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I am tethered to my phone doing this
Are you really?
presentation
Oh,
right now. So yes. So I'm tethered to my phone, and you can see, even though I'm tethered to my phone, these response times throughout this
yeah.
site are just crazy fast, even for these complex pages,
Yeah.
right? So getting to that near native point, because you have 3 seconds. That's the limit of time that most consumers will give you. I believe it's almost 70% attrition if a
Mhm.
page takes more than 3 seconds to load. That's
Yeah.
a lot. 70% of people just go away. And then 2 seconds is really the sweet spot. But if you
Yeah.
can go even lower, awesome. The
Yeah.
faster it is, the less friction you have. I saw this question from Ben, and thank you for highlighting it. So I do put the CSS into the theme later. Um, I feel like the customizer is a great tool for making quick tweaks, but things that are going to become a permanent part of the site, I feel deserve to be in the theme, right? One that protects the changes so that if the marketing team wants to go in and change things and tweak a little CSS, they're not in the same place where things that are essential to the site running are.
Yeah.
Because somebody messes with that CSS, well, these buttons won't look like buttons anymore, right?
Right.
So I will move it into a style CSS file in the theme later. And then, do I see visitors to landing pages mostly coming from ads or not necessarily? So it depends on the site, but in a lot of cases, landing pages actually have a higher rate of search engine visibility just simply because they have more targeted content. And the more targeted the content is, the more closely it's going to relate to what a searcher or a potential buyer might be looking for. So, generally I'll see higher conversion rates and more visitors on these pages, just because they're more highly targeted. Um, Greg, the site is actually using a child theme. So if we look at appearance and we go to themes, it is using the Trade Funder Kadence theme. So just a quick and dirty child theme that, to be completely honest, because I wanted to save time, I made with the child theme builder. So yeah. Is it faster as well? Ben, in what manner do you mean faster?
Yeah, is it faster to build? Is it faster for the end user? Is it faster?
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah.
I mean, I would have had trouble putting together this layout in most other page builders. Oh, is it faster putting it in the style CSS? Yes. Long term, it would be faster because when you're using the customizer, that CSS is stored in the database. So we have a database query before that CSS loads. Once it's in a static file, it can be edge cached along with everything else. And we have Cloudflare Enterprise in front of this, so we're edge caching every static page, and we can edge cache all the resources like CSS and JavaScript and images.
Yeah. Yeah. So typically, if you're developing a site and you have just like a couple lines of CSS, the customizer, just put it there. If it is going to be a longer style sheet, if it's going to have a lot more different options that you're putting in there, more classes, more IDs that are being defined, then you'll want to put something into the style of a child theme. So you do not want to put it into the style sheet of the parent Kadence theme, because the next time you go and you update the Kadence theme, all of that gets wiped out. When you do it as a child theme, then that will stay resident. You can update the parent theme easily, and all of your customizations in the child theme will be there and stay there. So always good to do things that way.
And Ben is mentioning that he's had some issues with styles not working unless they're in the customizer. That may be a specificity issue, which is a really long word to say. Maybe you need some more selectors in your definition of what that is applying to. Just simply because specificity, that's the cascade part of cascading style sheets, right? And sometimes you just have to be so overly specific that it hurts. I mean, literally physically hurts. Because it just, I've had selectors that are like 17 selectors deep. Yeah, it gets painful at that point, but that's the way you make sure it overrides no matter what.
Right. Right. You mean I shouldn't just go do exclamation point and point on things randomly?
I mean, you can if you want, but if you hand that off to somebody else, and they don't know that important is there, and then they're trying to change that style, you've given them the what I like to refer to as the missing semicolon hunt, which for anybody who does a significant amount of programming knows, the missing semicolon hunt is the most fun problem in all of programming. Because where is that line ending missing in this 7,000 lines of code? So that's my least favorite type of hunt, and so we try to avoid important as often as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's definitely tempting when it's just like, why is this not working? And the CSS is just getting complicated and you have to get something, just fix it, please. But
Yep.
it's always better to be much more intentional with how you are cascading those styles, right?
Well, and here's the question, right? Um, Tammy, I feel that. Yes, I've definitely done it to myself as well. And then I'm hunting for 3 hours to try and figure out what's wrong, and then I get back to what's wrong, and it's my own code.
Yeah.
But the important thing to remember is if you're working on a team with other developers, um, are you more important than your other team members? Because that's basically what that declaration is saying, is that everything that I just told this to be is more important.
I'm sure we've all worked on teams where that happens.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
I should apologize to maybe a coworker or two in the past, but I'm important.
Yeah.
I'm the Taylor Swift of WordPress. I'm important. No, I'm just joking. That's an inside joke. But
So now I'm horrible. I didn't include a good closing slide here with my contact information,
That's
but
okay.
you can find me at zach.stepek@convesio.com if you're wanting to talk about scalable WooCommerce hosting.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about Convesio and what's unique about I mean, there's hosting providers everywhere. What's unique about
Yeah.
Convesio? What do they bring to the table?
So the interesting thing about Convesio as a platform is that we're all containerized. So you have multiple layers that comprise your hosting stack generally. There's the webhead, which serves PHP as web pages, right? It interprets PHP, talks to the database. And then you have um, the database layer, which stores all of your data, right? And then you have um, the object caching layer, which caches the results from the database and is either Memcache or Redis. The great thing about what we do at Convesio is that each of these layers can be completely separated and scale independently behind a load balancer. So when you are looking at high traffic events, let's say you have a WooCommerce site that has been on Shark Tank. And the true value of Shark Tank, by the way, is not the first aired episode. It's the fact that it is in syndication so much that you get repeated traffic throughout the lifespan of that episode. So you are notified when you're going to be replayed in syndication. That way you can get ready for having yet another traffic event, right? And so that add-on effect is kind of the biggest part of Shark Tank. But when that happens, you want to make sure that your site's going to be ready to handle as many visitors as possible and as many checkouts as possible. And in order to do so, you have to make sure that you have hosting that can scale. And this isn't just for WooCommerce. It's not just for e-commerce sites. We have a membership site that has hundreds of concurrent users. We have a learning management system that has thousands of concurrent users for a homeschooling group.
Wow.
And so at that scale, first of all, when you have thousands of logged in users, you have thousands of users whose content can't be cached because they're logged in, they're getting customized content for themselves that can't really be cached well.
Right.
So you have to have the power to be able to run at that level. So what makes us unique is kind of here. Our Docker technology is going to make it so that your site doesn't crash, even during high traffic. You'll never outgrow us. It's hard to get to a point where we can't handle something. You can focus on just your business, and we don't charge for add-ons. So I've heard that there are hosts that charge $100 a month just to enable the New Relic daemon on a site. We don't do that. And we have 24/7 support from our actual DevOps engineering team in Slack. So you can get real-time help in Slack, chat, or email. And they're all real engineers. There's no tier 1 support in our world.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. And you're doing you're helping people build out sites and get their sort of like a solutions engineer. What is your exact title? I said it at the beginning, but client enablement?
So I'm in client enablement, which is really a catch-all term right now for I wear a lot of hats and I help our clients succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely have the expertise, the knowledge, and gosh, you're just so smart. I'm just blessed to know you. And I just am always amazed at all of the stuff that you do. I am so amazed every time I hear you talk about a project. I am in awe. So I am very, very happy that you came to Amplify. And people can follow you. You're on Twitter, Facebook, all of the
Pretty
places.
much all the places as at Stepek. So first initial,
Okay.
last name.
Excellent. Great. And still doing Mighty Swarm?
It's kind of it's a bit dormant right now, but it is still there, and we have
Yeah.
a couple of customers we're still working with. But honestly, I love the hosting space.
Yeah.
It allows me to serve my goal, my purpose, my mission of helping store owners um, at a deeper level, and honestly, without having to run an agency. And so I'm still, sticking true to my mission as a person, um, but it's a lot less overhead and a lot less stress.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us at Kadence Amplify.
yes,
This was a
thank you for
great
having me.
presentation. Hopefully, I didn't like with my impromptu, like, I think you just took it so much deeper, so much more technical. I was like, at first, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot all the titles. And
It's
I was
okay.
so nerve-wracked. I was like, "I've
I
got 2 presentations, pick one," and everybody went with landing page. I was like, "All
I
right," and then I saw
was
yours title, I was like, "Oops."
I was
But
actually listening to make sure, and I was tweaking my presentation in real time to remove the things that you were already covering. So
okay, well, great, then I gave you more space to really run and show your expertise. I am, yeah, we have so many people who are also amazed at your insights. Yeah. Zach is definitely someone to watch if you're starting to do really more technical things and trying to get sites that are ready to scale. Zach is the man. So,
well, I appreciate that, Kathy, and as always, it's fun to get some FaceTime together.
yes, always. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to close it out, say goodbye to you, Zach, and we're going to tee up our next speaker.